console is set up now. Put on 2 games to install. As you can see, the user interface, very smooth compared to the Xbox One. The Xbox One X, it will be better because they didn't update a lot of the hardware, so you don't have to worry about it when it comes to performance level. But this one does feel much snappier. Again, this is just a user interface, not game related yet. But I just know that on the spinning hard drive that I have on my Xbox One, it does struggle in some of these scenarios. Opening up some of these items is a little bit slower than the newest models. So I'm not referencing the Xbox One X because that one will be snappier, but this is going back to the base model. But looking these 2 models here, you have the PS5 and the Xbox One X, and when you're looking at the user interface, it is different. Now this is going to be a personal preference, which one you like better. For me, I like the PlayStation 5 user interface. It feels cleaner and more organized with how the options are laid out. Here, as you can see, you click the Xbox button. You can see what games are downloading and what's going on. You have your notifications, adjusting your audio, going to the store, your Game Pass, and your search. And then up top, you have your chat, you have your friends, controller, and further settings. You can go to My Games and Apps, and the items that you recently downloaded. But overall, it's a good interface, but it comes down to personal preference. On the PlayStation, as you can see right here, fairly simple. You go to the top, you have your menu, you have your search. If you click the PlayStation button, you can see more information here on the bottom, which I like. It feels well organized and well thought out. Now let's go ahead and compare just the start on these 2 games. So I'll go ahead and launch Fortnite at the same time and see what we get. Now both these games are optimized and updated for the newest consoles, so they are PS5 and Xbox Series X ready. And we see the PlayStation 5 is a little bit ahead when it comes to connecting that way. All right, it wants to sign in. Okay, so ready to play here. Now some people might be experiencing issues, and this is again using it the first time. Okay, let's do the play. So it's gonna go through the video. It's giving us challenges. New character claimed. All right, and again, I don't have the audio set up because these are monitors and I did not plug anything in to play the sound out of it. So we can definitely fix that by connecting something to the controllers. So give me 1 second, let me see what I can find to connect to the controllers. Using a 3.5 headphone jack. Okay. go ahead and claim all of this. Let's do a play and see if there are any differences. Ready. Graphics wise, I can't really tell much. Again, they are optimized and pushed, as well as they can be for what the game manufacturers are doing at the moment. But we'll be seeing games better and better as the developers are building better dev kits and so on. Now, the one thing that you do have is the adaptive triggers on the PlayStation. And I did cover in a video regarding one of them actually starting to fail, which can happen with so many moving parts. So the one thing so far that I have noticed is the matchmaking is taking much longer on the Xbox. On the PlayStation 5, I've already dropped in, found a match. Alright, let's try to cancel. Let's try to go just doing singles. So let's do solo, play, and see if we can get a match up and running. Now these monitors are again 1080p, 60 hertz, no HDR. It's just straight up game playing with minimum resolution expenditure on the devices. So they got me on that one. So alright, so on the Xbox, the controller itself, you jump and you feel it in the triggers. So that's where you feel that motion come in. Let's see how shooting a weapon feels. Oh, I don't know how I feel about this. So the vibration is on the right trigger buttons, and when you shoot, you feel it on both. When you jump, you feel it right on those buttons. You don't feel it on the PlayStation. You feel it on the palm rest more than you do on the trigger piece. The trigger has its own kickback and haptic, and but the vibration is within the trigger button's top part. So Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to it. I'm not used to this. I don't know how I feel about it. Controllers are responsive. Everything else feels good. Controller is very comfortable. It's just I guess I'm not used to that. Okay, so if you shoot, now you just feel it in one. Okay, so I feel it in this one right here. All right, so that's not too bad. I could get used to that. It's more of a haptic feel. It's not a adaptive trigger, so where it gives you the resistance back. But when you jump, you feel it on those trigger buttons on both at the same time. Actually starting to grow on me now. Okay, some of the movement on top on this model is a little pushy. Let's see. I play these games, but I'm not a builder. It's when I play it, it's mostly just to see what the game is all about. All right, let's do it again. So let's test this out. So if I go hit the PlayStation button, hit the Xbox button, go home, screenshot save button, match. It started bouncing between the two controllers. There are some things that I like about the Xbox Series X controller versus the DualSense, but I still favor the DualSense a little bit just because of the adaptive triggers, the microphone, the touch bar. Some of those things I've used now more frequently, so I do favor those more. I'm waiting for No Man's Sky to install so we can just test that out. Color wise and gameplay, I think these devices are about identical. They're not really utilizing the power of these next generation consoles just yet. I think it'll be a year or 2 years down the road that we'll see them use it even more. When you do compare the games that are made, which is one thing that has plagued the Xbox Series X, is the launch titles. I wish they had more. You do have Cyberpunk that was more enhanced for the Xbox. They had a patch for it specifically. They did not have one for the PlayStation. As for the PlayStation, they have Miles Morales, which takes advantage of the features that they do offer, and now that includes 60 frames per second with 4K ray tracing. So that's pretty cool. But when we see 4K at 120 hertz, The Xbox does not come with an HDMI 2.1 cable. From what it looks like, it's a 2.0, while the PlayStation 5 does include that cable. So you would have to buy a TV that's capable. That's one thing. And then the second piece would be that you would need to get a cable on the Xbox side. But games at 120 hertz at 4K with HDR and all of that, I think we have a little bit of time before we see that used to its fullest capability. Uh, 83% of No Man's Sky. Ooh, not enough ammo. There's no way. This will be a quick game. There we go. I guess he wasn't paying attention. Oh, and now I'm not paying attention. Alright. And this is how the menus look once you are in a game. Takes you right there. You go home. Close this game if you want to close it. Now I don't have Cyberpunk on the Xbox, and that's a whole different story just because the game itself has been pulled from the PlayStation Store, so you can't even buy it there. And then when it comes to buying it on the Microsoft side, there's a disclaimer. And at the moment, with as many crashes that they've been having, I am refraining from purchasing it on that console. We'll wait for No Man's Sky to download, but overall, as you can see, the user interface, the responsiveness, just bouncing around the controller. So if you hear clicking, that's the Xbox controller when you're going up and down. If you're clicking the D-pad, you can hear that button. On the PlayStation, it's much more quiet. So there you go. That's kind of a quick comparison on what you're seeing and side by side. Again, this is running on 1080p. It's also recorded 1080p HDR. So trying to compare it at its minimalist level and as close as possible. But stay tuned for more. Subscribe to the channel. We'll have more stuff coming down the pipes regarding consoles and other tech stuff as we can get our hands on it. Thank you. Stay tuned for more. As to when we will see the game available again, it's hard to tell. I believe they mentioned January and February that more patches will come out. So stay tuned for more. Subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.